So we have a packed agenda today, okay? I have packed a lot of things in this 1 hour, and this is going to be a hands-on experience. You are allowed to do exactly what I'm doing to experience some of the things that we will be building together. You and I will be building together. Does that make sense? Let me walk through the agenda. So coming from the last meeting, if you remember, we talked about service architecture. I want to show you that service architecture happening in real life. But before that, I want to assign a role. So I want to assign a role to Virendra. Virendra, because your video is on. If somebody joins this meeting, can you admit them in?
Sure, with pleasure.
Thank you, Virendra, because I may not be seeing and I don't want to go back and forth. Otherwise, it will distract the whole meeting.
Sandeep, I'll be with you.
Okay, so last time we just built a technical architecture. Today, I will show you that technical architecture in real life. Like you will be able to touch, feel the technical architecture, what has been built by your developers for your product. Okay, so one is that we'll visualize the service architecture. Then we will wireframe, and I have some thoughts around it. Then we will get into Markdown. Very important language that we should know. If there are certain things that you feel I should not cover, put it in comments. And if everybody feels around it, I will skip them. Okay. I'll talk about technical debt. This is a question that I get asked very often. Do I need to know coding in order to be a PM? I will talk about that. Basic dev concepts are critical. Okay, there's some music from the background. Can I request for folks to mute? Thank you so much. And if you have questions, please unmute and speak up, or you can use the chat. Basic developer concepts are critical for a PM to understand. Otherwise, you will start with your journey of a PM and you will be caught off guard. By the way, such basic concepts are expected from a PM interview perspective also, that you should know. Like there are certain basic things that people will start speaking, and if you don't know, you'll find yourself in no man's land and what should I respond? If time permits, I will talk about DevOps traceability. This is useful for existing PMs, not necessarily for people who want to become PMs. So these are my 7 things. Lot of things to cover. Let me get going. Any thoughts before I begin? Anything that you say, oh Sandeep, please cover this before that because this is very critical. Let's start with this. Let's not start with this. Anything like that. I'll give you 30 seconds to respond. Otherwise, I'll begin. Any thoughts on the agenda? Okay, none. Yeah.
We will still be discussing DevOps for PMs, right?
You want to discuss DevOps or PM? Okay, I see some interest in it, so I'll move it up. Okay.
Okay.
Let's move it up. Okay. Sounds good. Actually, before this, we have to do this. Okay. I'll move it even further up because there is some interest. Okay. So let's get going. Any other thoughts? Anybody? No? Good. Okay. Beginning. Okay. Visualize the service interaction. I hope I have all my tabs open. So if you remember, last time we did a lot of activity on this Amazon search. We designed Amazon search, right? So I wanted to complete that journey. Okay. For those who did not attend the last meeting, we actually designed this entire Amazon search bar. Okay. And while we were designing this Amazon search bar, we created the backend, the service layer, the business layer, and the basic service architecture. And I believe, Virendra, you were the one who talked about how I'm going to click here and I will type something and things will get autofilled for me. Remember?
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to show that back to you that if I do this, and the example that we took was ring lights for YouTube, right? This was the example that we took. And if I say ring lights, you will see certain things popping up, right? So let's get rid of this. The very first thing that I want to talk to you about is developer tools. Okay. You can go to developer tools right here. I think so. You go here, you will find developer tools under more tools and developer tools, right? Or you can just do Control-Shift-I on a Windows device. I don't know the equivalent on a Mac. So what is developer tools? You will find most of your developers, when they open websites, they will be opening developer tools. It is extremely, extremely handy tool. Today, half an hour of our time we'll be spending on developer tools and the other half an hour on everything else. Okay, this is very important. Let me actually show you developer tools in action, but first let's talk about what you see on the top. You see elements. Elements is nothing but talking about the various elements on this UI. For example, if I click here, which says select element, and let's say I click on the search box. So you can see what my search box is nothing but this. This is the HTML code behind it, right? Input type text, tab is to, search tag text button, etc., etc. And you see like right here. So let's click on fresh. Okay, I'll click on fresh. So you see fresh is a link which takes you to navigation CS fresh, etc., etc. And if I go further inside it, you will see the text is fresh. I can change fresh to Sandeep also. If I press enter, you'll see it changed to Sandeep because this is my HTML code behind the actual UX that you are seeing. Console is nothing but the JavaScript interface within Chrome. So okay, so what is JavaScript? When you are building any front end, right? I'll just oversimplify things. It needs two things. It needs HTML, which is nothing but the UI rendering. It needs CSS, which is nothing but style sheets, which controls how your look and feel of the UI should be. Okay, two things. Both of these are like just the front end engines. Think of it like when you're building a house, your paint, your switchboards, the look and feel of the door is the front end, right? That's just the HTML and the CSS. But you don't get to see the wiring behind your switchboard, right? You don't get to see the plumbing behind your tap. Tap is the HTML and CSS. But the plumbing behind is something what you call as JavaScript, right? JavaScript basically enables all the actions that happen. For example, if I click on this search, now HTML will control that my magnifying lens looks like this. It is tilted towards the left. It has a background of whatever color it is, the yellow, whatever. I don't know what that color is, but let's say the yellow color. But what happens when I click on it is controlled by JavaScript. So this is the JavaScript console. I'll skip sources for the time being because that's not very important. Network is very, very important. These are all the network calls that are getting captured as you interact with your website. Okay, let's start right here because we talked about system architecture last time. I'm going to show you that system architecture in action. So let's clear. So this is nothing but clear everything that I see here. I'm going to clear this and I'm going to type ring light. You see, as soon as I type ring light, a lot of things happen. Now see what happened. Let's click on this. As soon as I clicked ring light, see what happened. It said, let's go to the header first, sorry. So what is it containing? It contains an API call. Now what is an API? API is basically, I'm not going to go into the definition and there's the abbreviation, but let's think very, very simply, right? As soon as you type ring light, that request is going somewhere in the backend to fetch what is the response that I should show when somebody types ring light, right? So the backend, which has this code that what to show when the user types ring light, that interface is what we call as the API handshake. Now this is a get call. You can see there is get. Get means get me more information. When user types ring light, get some more information. It says 200 OK, which means the request was successful. Now let's see what happened in this request. If I go to preview, or let me go to the response, you will see. No, wait a minute. Where am I supposed to? Give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry, right here. Okay, let me reduce this size a little bit. Okay, for those who are just joining in, I'm just continuing on our conversation from last week where we talked about how do you view the system architecture. Okay, now let's go further down. Yeah, so you see this, it says prefix is R and keep seeing this R, I, N, G, L, space, L, I. Are you able to see this? The prefix L, I, G, H, T. For every input that I make, that input is going and hitting an API. And if you see, as I hit that API, I get a response. Now, what is that response? It is saying, give me a suggestion. Within this suggestion, I am saying value is ring light. And if I go further down, I'm just scrolling to the right. Yeah. So now it starts showing me what are the URLs to which this is getting pointed at. And I'll go keep further going down. I wish it had a better response. Yeah. So if you see here, right? Wait a minute. I was expecting a better response somewhere. Give me 1 second. So this is my request header. This is my payload. And this is my preview. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. Sorry. So if you see here, by the time I type ring light, right? It hit the backend. And if you remember last time we talked about, there has to be a super fast storage, right? For me to give these responses. Now you see this. Now let's expand this. Let's expand one. It says, when my output is ring light, then give me these suggestions. So it started giving me certain suggestions. And if you see, right, you will see these suggestions right here. It says, let's look at this. Ring light in electronics, ring light with tripod star, and you should start seeing some of these terms right here. If I keep scrolling further down. So you see ring light with tripod stand. This is the return I got. Ring light with tripod stand. And if I go further down, you will start seeing, what is it? Ring light 18 plus inch width stand. Ring light 18 plus inch width stand. And if you see here clearly, right, it says suggestions limit to 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Only 11 suggestions are coming. And if I go all the way down and go to 10, you will see the 10th suggestion is ring light with tripod stand 18 plus inch. Ring light with tripod stand 18 plus inch. Where is it? Oh, right here on the top. Where is 18 ring light with tripod stand 18 plus inch, right? So basically, why am I even telling you all of this? So first, now you are seeing your system architecture in action in real life, where you type something, the response went to the backend. The backend using a GET API gave you a response back. Why as PMs we need to know this? A lot of times what you will see is while you are building products, this is what you will observe. You will say, I typed on ring light. Hey developer, why am I getting diamond ring as a response? And you will start seeing wrong responses coming your way. You can give that information to your developer saying, I am getting diamond ring, or at your own end, you can start figuring out why is it that I'm getting certain particular responses from the backend? Which storage point are you hitting? Based on which, what response are you getting? This is unbelievably helpful for a lot of things. One is, of course, debugging. The other is, second, again, very, very important thing is from the perspective of telemetry. Do you understand telemetry? Telemetry is what data are you capturing from the UX to better understand your user. Let me actually show this to you in action again. I am on a product called Azure DevOps, where I was instrumental in some of the work that we did here. Okay. And I believe we have a dinky little search bar right here, and I'll go back to network and see what happens. I click on search, same thing. I'm not doing much. It says hierarchy query, recommendation, something, something. Same is happening here. See, it's a fetch type query, 200. I've gone back to the store, try to get some recommendations. You see there is a recommendation service, which is giving me recommendations and events. Now see, oh, so we are not capturing any event. Bad example, huh? So let's click here and I'll go back to events. There you go. Now, if I start seeing what is happening in events, right? You will start seeing that I am capturing some user information. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So if you see here, I said when the user clicked on this item, I am capturing the performance of this click. You see, area is performance, and I am saying how much time did the user take to get this response, and you will see it right here. I will say, I'll go to split timings. And now you can say that in order for me to paint this UI, I took what is this number? 1713985 milliseconds to paint this UI. For me to just get started, it took me some milliseconds. Now, of course, you are not expected to get all of this information in this form. So if you see in 771 milliseconds, my load of the page started. You're not expected to get output in this fashion. You will, of course, get it in queries that you can validate. But one very, very important thing in this dev tools, what you're realizing is tomorrow, if let's say you click on it and you are not even getting any data, you can at least troubleshoot why it went wrong. Why are you not even getting telemetry data on a user click? That becomes important. Now, that's why I'm saying developer tools is great from troubleshooting perspective, especially on the network tab. And one important aspect that I wanted to show you, how we were able to actually view the information that our backend is giving back to us. So it basically completes our system architecture story that we were doing yesterday. Now, this is more on troubleshooting side. Now comes the exciting part. Let's close all of this. I have an ask. I have gone back to my channel. Okay, now this is something that I use very, very often in developer tools. And here is the ask. I have a hypothesis that if I change some UI on my page, right, it will look better. I feel I want to tell my developers that change these buttons to pink. Maybe when I change them to pink, user will be clicking more often. Now, imagine that conversation where you're having with the developer, hey, let's change this to pink, change this to yellow, you do it versus I do it. Then you have to explain, not explain. How about you doing it quickly, right? How about PMs doing it all by themselves? So let me show it to you real quick. Again, I go to developer tools. I go to elements. As I said, elements is all about this UI. I click here. I go to customize channel. Okay. And I say, now look at this element style. This is nothing but HTML code. You may need to know some very basic HTML to get this thing going, huh? But let me do it. So I'll say background hyphen color is, I don't know, I said light pink. Huh? So let's do light pink. There you go. Did you see customized channels getting changed? Now it's light pink. And let's go to manage videos. I also want this guy to be changed. I'll say background hyphen color to be light pink. Great. Now go to your developer or your designer and say, yeah, how about this color? Do you like this? Maybe we'll get more hits. Now you are able to play with the UI without making any impact on the actual code base, right? I just changed something. Now let's take it a little further. Okay. And this is something I do very, very often. I have to do wireframing of a feature or a hypothesis that I believe can do wonders. Now, it's just my belief, right? If I have a belief, I have to prove that belief to someone. Now, I have to first prove that belief to my developer. Now, developer will ask thousands of questions, which I'm still hypothesizing. So how do I convince people? So this is what I do. And this is what I do in Microsoft very, very often. Instead of heavily relying on my developers, because developers, they will make super awesome UI, but it comes at a cost. It will take time. Now, let's say I have an hypothesis and let's build that hypothesis is I want to show on YouTube that I want to be able to have something like a sponsorship feature on YouTube. Like for somebody who is a creator, you should be able to sponsor, like people should be able to sponsor that creator, right? So let's go build that feature right now. In the next 10 minutes, we'll build it. Now, this is classic wireframing done very, very quickly. So let's do it. So let's go here. Let's go to about. You can follow me. I went to about. So you see, this allows me to select an element. Once I click here, I select the element that I want to change. I click there and you see it's a div class. I expand that div class and it says about. I don't want to call it about. Of course, I want to call it sponsor. It changed to sponsor. Great. Now let's close all of this. Great. Looks good. My UI looks awesome. F11. I got a full screen. That is brilliant. Now, and this is exactly what I will do in my work. I'll take a print screen. Now, since I have to present, right? I will go to PowerPoint and I'll say paste. Ho gaya. My first screen is done and I want to focus on sponsor, not on the pink color. Now let's go back to sponsor. I click on sponsor. You see, none of this changes happened in the backend. Because none of this change happened in the backend, as soon as I click on about, it went to the server, came back and it rendered about. So let's go back. I will click on about once again, and I'll change about to sponsor. See, because I'm creating a click through, you should be able to see how I'm actually building the product. Huh? So, acha ye to kiya, very good, but I don't need all of this. Huh? Description, blah, blah, blah. What is all of this? I don't need any of this. So let's click here again, select all of this description thingy, and I don't want this. So delete. I just clicked on delete and everything is gone. Oh, I don't want details and all also. Click on this, click on details and this entire thing and delete, gone. Great. Stats, let's get rid of stats also. I don't need stats and everything. So delete. Let's click right click get rid of joined also, delete, because I want a plain canvas on which I can do my stuff. Okay, delete. Great. So I have a plain canvas. How much time did it take me to do it? None, right? So sponsor aa gaya. Great. So let's go back, take a screenshot. Where is my PowerPoint? My PowerPoint is, oh, PowerPoint looks like YouTube. I'm not able to recognize. Control V. Now I'm building sponsor. Now I have a vision. Huh? In sponsor, I want like tile type view. Where do I get tiles? YouTube does not have tiles. No problem. Take inspiration from somewhere else. Okay, let's go to Azure Marketplace. Great. These are the type of tiles I really wanted to work on. Like this tile, right? You see this Hamilton core tile. So let's go to developer tools in Hamilton core. Okay, you see the UI changed. As soon as I minimize, the tiles changed to this, which is okay. Okay, I don't want financial services, get rid of financial services. Okay, I need Hamilton core. I need an image, but we will get rid of this. Huh? Okay, instead of Hamilton core, this is my sponsorship type. So I will say you are my Emerald sponsor. Sponsor. Okay, so and okay, great. So I have a paragraph and lot of text written. I don't need any of this. I will just say Emerald sponsors get the opportunity to come to my home on Sundays for a coffee. Just fun, huh? So there you go. Emerald sponsors get this thing. Get it now is perfect. I need that. So that is great. So let's close this. This is looking good, but I don't want this Hamilton core thing keep going. I need a good image. Okay, so I cheated. I searched for Emerald on Wikipedia already, and I want exactly this image. Huh? So I will not even take the pain of pasting this image on PowerPoint. So let's go back. Why? Because we are learning developer tools. Huh? I want to get rid of this image. So again, I clicked on this. I'll go back to Hamilton core. And if you see, oh, source right here. So here is interesting. Huh? See this Hamilton core is coming from Azure CDN. We discussed it last time, if you remember, that what is the importance of CDN. This image is coming from CDN, but of course I don't want CDN. I want this image to be rendered through Wikipedia. So paste. You see it's now upload to Wikipedia, blah, 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 and enter. There you go. My Emerald is here on the page. I am making CSS changes one after the other without even thinking twice. So let's close it. Beautiful. This is exactly what I wanted. I said I want an Emerald sponsorship. Putting this inside it is the job of PowerPoint. So take this. I love this image. Take this. Done. Got my Emerald. Where is my PowerPoint? So let's go here. Sponsor. I don't want it so big. That black and white will figure it out. Huh? I have most of my things working on dark theme. There you go. My first sponsor is there. SAE Emerald sponsor, Gold sponsor, Diamond sponsor, and so on. Great. I'll take a pause here. Now, this is exactly what I have been doing in Microsoft. And by the way, I'll tell you, this is a great weapon in the hands of product managers, is to quickly build UI and present to their leadership, designers, etc., and get a buy-in. So when I have an idea, right, I will put that idea in actual user experience and present it to people. And none of this is final. I'll go back to my designer in any case in order to get that validation. But this is a very quick fire way of building some UX. If you see, it took me like 7-8 minutes to test a completely new idea called, hey, sponsors in YouTube. And then I will say, hey, you know what? I have an idea. This is how the user's journey starts. Actually, if you remember, we always talk about user journey even in our conversations. User comes on YouTube, clicks on sponsor. Once he clicks on sponsor, he sees Emerald sponsor, Emerald sponsor, Emerald sponsor, clicks on get it now, and then something else happens, right? But the whole point is, instead of doing that wireframing on paper, I'm actually able to show them in real life in very less time, and people get it. People understand it. Now, here is a very big caveat. When you're building products and you're not comfortable with any of this, please try and use simple pen and paper for wireframing. Instead of looking for what is that perfect tool on which I will wireframe. Unless and until you are using something like developer tools and you're comfortable with HTML, and I don't mind learning a little bit of HTML to do this because the power is immense, and I'll show you some more things, right? Let's go back here. And here I come and I say, oh, I need a button between customize channel and manage video. And that new button is called sponsorship. So I come here and I say, oh, background color is right here, and I will say margin hyphen left is whatever, 100 pixels. Oh, great. So you see, I got some space. Maybe let's increase from 100 to something more. I'll keep increasing it, you see. Perfect. This is the perfect distance. Close it. Great. I have a great gap between the two. Okay, okay, this is still selected. Wait a minute. And I close this. I got a good gap. F11. Now imagine doing all of this in PowerPoint. This will take you a lot of time doing it in PowerPoint. Even writing this on a piece of paper will take more time than you to do margin left. Gap aa gaya? Great. Now go insert. Seriously, and I'm literally telling you how I do wireframing in Microsoft. And then I will say, great, take this button, put a new button, take the color same as whatever the pink we had, fill it with an eyedropper. Done, and call it the sponsor. Done. What happened? Sponsor. Reduce the size, change to black. Got it. Okay, new button. Make it pretty, of course. I'm not trying to prettify it. But you see, at times, right? At times technology is there to help us and make things a little faster. Had I asked you to do all of this on a piece of paper, right? आपको पहले तो बहुत time लग जाता trying to build all of this UI for YouTube. That you have to show videos and then you will do crosses, squares, कुछ तो बनाओगे ना? But how much time did it take me? Like 10 minutes to do something like this, right? And I can get my validation done really quickly by something that people can touch. And my conversation will also go like this, like a user study. I land on YouTube as a creator, I click on the sponsor tab, I see all these options and I select one, and guess what? I have another idea that we should have a sponsor button, and you click on sponsor and then this happens and that happens. I have been able to create my end-to-end user designs in an hour. Okay, and they speak way louder than just pen and paper UI, because pen and paper UI, people get it, but there is also that aspect of I didn't really get what you were saying. Now I'm able to see it. Okay, so there's a difference, but very, very big caveat. In case you are comfortable with pen and paper, please do it instead of looking for tools that can help you do it, because pen and paper wins over anything else. Until I had learned it, I used to draw all my wireframes on pen and paper, especially in your interview. Draw it on a pen and paper and then show it across. It's a very good practice. Therefore, if needed, practice it as well. Now, I will talk about how do you do this in a pen and paper also. Okay, so let's go to whiteboard. And this is, by the way, not tech. I'm just telling you how about wireframing. Let me take out my stylus. So any feedback while whiteboard is loading? Any feedback on what I just showed?
Sandeep, Gopal this side. So I
Yes.
had one question regarding the developer tools when you were showing the API requests.
Yes.
So all the fields that are coming as suggestions, they are hard coded, or there is some other function through which we are getting those suggestions?
No, not hard coded. Wait, I'm glad you asked this, huh? And I'm glad I opened whiteboard, because last time we did search. So this is the architecture diagram that we drew last time. So Kopal, what is happening is, as it opens, right? As soon as you start typing, so you see ring light YouTube. This is exactly what we discussed last time. When you type ring light YouTube, right, the request goes to a backend to, and there is, let's say there is another storage here. Okay. And the storage really says ring after ring. What's wrong? Light. There is something wrong with the typing. Huh? Sorry, pardon me for that. Ring, light. When ring comes, then light comes, and folks that select ring and light also select ring light for, I don't know, I don't even know what it was. Ring light for men or ring light for women. How do they get it? Virendra will tell you, because last time he was the one who told us that ring light for men, ring light for women is basically populated from your previous searches. Okay. Now this database is, or you can call, and I generally use the term database. This may be AIML. This may be coming from your previous searches or whatever the case may be. The fact is, I know that when ring is searched, when light is searched, the other top 11 searches are ring light for men, ring light for women, ring light for YouTube, ring light with 18+ inch with a tripod. So there is this list of 11 such options that are there in the backend. All that this guy is doing is, you typed R, it sent the request, got a response. I sent a request, got a response, and so on and so forth. It keeps happening until it gets ring light. And for ring light, it showed me the 11 responses. It's not hard coded. It is generated from the backend, and therefore it is giving you a response. And now let's say you, and by the way, let's do that. Huh? Let's say if you see, when I search ring light, I did not get ring light for YouTube. You saw? Now imagine what would happen. I go back to my Amazon. Where is Amazon? Amazon. So let's see this. I search for ring light. I don't see ring light for YouTube at all. Right? It says ring light with tripod. But I search ring light for YouTube. And it says YouTube videos, which is okay. But the fact that I press enter here, a request would have gone to the back end saying, guys who search ring light also search for ring light for YouTube. And I encourage all of us to do it. Huh? Pura din laga ke ring light for YouTube karte raho. You will find that very soon when you type ring light, Amazon will start showing you ring light for YouTube also. Oh, aa gaya. I'm sure it didn't come because earlier I didn't type for. But this is how it happens. As you keep searching, Amazon will keep populating that in the backend and it will start showing you. Nothing is hard coded.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we are going very slow, and as I anticipated. So we have visualized the service interaction in developer tools. We talked about wireframing. I want to talk about wireframing on paper as well. So let's go back. Okay. How do I go back? Oh. So when you are wireframing, even in your interviews, right, you can be very, very lean on your wireframes. You don't need to show very well designed wireframes. For example, let's say I have to wireframe this. Where is YouTube? Okay. This, right? You don't need to do any of this. Or you can say, this is my YouTube page. There is a burger. There are links. Then there is a big banner. There is an image. There is, what else is there? Okay. So then there is an icon of the guy. Something is written. Something is written. Then there are big buttons. Right? And then there is some text. And then there are video blocks. So earlier, before doing HTML and all, right, my wireframes were like this. And these are all images or videos. That's a great wireframe for you to show how YouTube works. So if you see, it took me like a minute to draw the YouTube from a persona of the content creator. And then you can add, this is my customize button. And this is my whatever, sponsor button, right? So please do this. Please don't look for tools that will give you ready-made templates, because the more you write, the more you will generate clarity for yourself. So even in interviews, please do wireframes that are legible, that you can understand, and you should write certain things, that this is a banner. This is an icon. So things make sense. Okay. Check for wireframes and you will get a good idea. Does this make sense? Any questions? No. Okay. I will proceed.
Sandeep, one
Yes.
quick question. When you use those developer tools, right? Like that,
Yes.
that approach is mostly for an existing, for enhancement mostly. That is when I'll go by that approach, right? Like
Yes.
when I have existing assets with me, and then I can just move them around and all that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You're right. It's not applicable for, hey, I have a great idea to build a new product. It may not work. The amount of effort you'll have to put in to build this is equivalent to writing an HTML. This is like minor enhancements. That's why I said you just have a hypothesis that pink buttons would look better than the blue buttons that YouTube has. Therefore, I made them pink.
Okay.
And for those who joined later, these are not pink buttons on YouTube. Huh? In case you were wondering, YouTube has changed it. These are actually blue. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does this
Understood.
make sense? Okay, I will assume that to be a yes. We have 17 minutes and I still have a lot to cover. So we are done with this. We are done with this. Okay. Now I'm moving slightly separate. Huh? Before Markdown, I want to cover this because this is what Virendra said that he's very interested in. Is this okay if we go this route where we talk about basic dev concepts and then talk about all of these things? So let me begin here. So I'm introducing a lot of jargon here, huh? Which I generally don't do in my meetings, but I will because these are tech jargons. Jargons that we should all know. These are like, you can say, the basic bread and butter for PM while they are interacting with the developers. So I'll take a pause here and I will ask you back. Anybody who can explain me what is a backlog, repo, branch, commit, pull request, build, CI and CD. And it may not be one person. Anybody can take a call and start explaining. Any takers?
Should I go first?
Yes,
Yeah, I
please.
can try.
Go ahead, go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah, so backlog, anything is pending, we can mark it as a backlog. Branch, I work with Azure, so suppose there are 5 person working on something, so everyone is having a separate branch so that all the branch can be merged together and work on integrated together and have a complete thing. And pull request, once you have completed your work, you do a PR which gets merged to the actual parent branch, where we are merging our work together.
Got it. Any other takers on repo, commit, build, CI/CD? Thanks a lot. That was Ovro, is it?
Yes, yeah.
Great, yeah. Now I'm able to recognize voices. I'm so happy.
Repository is the code repository
Yes.
where the code is saved.
Yes.
I'm not sure about commit versus pull, but I can take a call on CI/CD. CI stands for continuous integration. So basically multiple code modules or multiple code branches all coming together as a single build, either automatically via let's say Jenkins or some other CI tool. And continuous deployment is actually running the automation pipeline to deploy it on the production or preview server. So integration and deployment differences, one is more on the lines of code integration, or let's say code build, but deployment refers to actual server deployment. May be wrong, but that's my understanding.
Got it. Got it. Anybody on commit? Build is nothing but CI.
Yeah, commit is, I think, it's kind of saving into the Git repository.
Perfect. So one good thing is that as a community, we were able to answer all the questions. Okay. Now, but there is something very important. Huh? There is one, and by the way, any one person in this entire talk who feels I didn't understand even one concept, please raise your hand. If nobody raises a hand, I'm assuming that you've understood. If you raise your hand, I'll explain all of this in detail. Something that you will never be able to forget, in a way. So I will go back to raise hands. Anybody feels that they still need an explanation or all of this is clear? Great. Menika raised her hand. That's it. I don't need to see a
Yeah,
second
though
hand.
I have heard this, but I would still like to hear it from you once. Like, yeah.
Got it. Got it. So let me explain. So if you see, right, I have an idea and I want to go implement it. So backlog is actually more than just pending. By the way, the answers are fantastic. This is exactly what it is. So let's look at some of these things. So somebody said they're using Azure or Azure DevOps. By the way, I was one of the product managers on Azure DevOps. I built this product. So what is a backlog? Backlog is simply what work needs to be done or what work is completed. Okay. So I have something called a smart hotel, blah, etc., etc. It's a smart hotel team. They are going to build some products around checking in from your phone, something with smart sensors, reservation system, user registration, conference rooms, etc., etc. These are all the features that they will build. And in these features, there are some stories that as a room guest, I should be able to personalize the app with themes. As a customer, I should be able to request hotel for late checkout and so on and so forth. They also have some bugs as they're implementing. Basically, backlog is what work needs to be done. Now, work that needs to be done could be in 3 states. Either it is to be done, as I think Ovro you mentioned, it could be in progress or it could be done, right? So depending upon where we are looking at the things. So backlog helps you manage all of that. I don't want to get into the details of the various views. There's a Kanban view, there is a backlog view. If you're interested, I can go into those details, but I'm holding off because this is something that PMs have to know. Okay, like there is, you will use some of these products, Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, Jira, any of these products, all of them have these Kanban views, or if there are other products that others are using, please put it in the comments. But this is your bread and butter. You have to manage your backlog. You are the one interacting with the customer. Therefore, your customer interactions that lead to a feature request needs to go in here. Period. There is no second thought. It's an expectation from an incoming PM to know how to manage a backlog. In case you feel you need guidance on it, there is a science on backlog management as well. More than happy to do so in another session, but I just wanted to introduce the concept. If you're interested, put it in comments so that I know that this could be another topic of discussion. Backlog ho gaya. Now this is interesting. Before I get into all of this, right, I want to talk about Git. Why was Git even invented? Do you know why was Git invented? What was the why did people create Git? What is this whole source control? What is repo branch? What the heck is going on? Any thoughts?
Code overwriting. Someone
Very good.
writing.
Who answered? Sorry. Udita? Yeah. So exactly. See, earlier, right, there were a lot of repositories, right? Subversion was one, TFS had its own, etc., etc. And the problem was that these were not distributed version control systems. What does that mean? What it means is there is code, like just imagine for a moment, you're building a website. Okay. You are writing all the HTML code by yourself. Let's say Virendra is doing it. Great, no problems. Virendra will keep coding day and night and build a website. No problems at all. But Virendra thought, I need another guy. I'm not a JavaScript expert. And Ovro is a JavaScript expert. So I onboarded Ovro. Ovro also started writing code. Now see the problem. Ovro is writing his JavaScript. Virendra is writing his HTML. And one fine day, Ovro said, oh, I need to integrate with your HTML. Huh? So I took it on whatever 20th of Feb. Ovro started integrating. Now Virendra is not stopping now. Virendra will keep doing his work. Virendra started doing his work. He made changes to the code that Ovro has already taken a dependency on. And Ovro wrote his JavaScript on top of his 20th February work. Come 1st March, Virendra has done something totally different from what Ovro had taken a dependency on. Bach gaya band. Ovro is doing something which is already stale, while Virendra is doing something which is, of course, live. Now, as soon as Ovro says, hey, I'm done, guess what? Ovro is not done because Virendra moved on. On 1st March, his code looks totally different. Ovro ka to band bach gaya. Ovro has to now redo everything that he has done, at least for the code basis that Virendra changed. Therefore, the birth of Git. Now, let's talk about Git. Git has a concept of repo. Repo is nothing but repository. It's very simple. It's a storage, cloud storage for your code. Period. Nothing else. Okay. No intelligence. It's just it's like think of it like your OneDrive. It's just a storage. But this problem that I just articulated with Virendra and Ovro stepping on Virendra's foot and Virendra sitting on Ovro's foot, OneDrive does not resolve it, right? In OneDrive, I can take a PPT, I can edit while Virendra is editing, while Ovro is editing, and guess what? We are in a complete mess. That can also happen. Now, how does that mess get controlled is done through branching. Okay. So branching is a very beautiful concept. You know what it says? It says something like this. Oh, where is draw? Draw. Branching says there is a branch which is called the main branch. Nobody touches the main branch, which means main branch is always shippable, which means I can take my code from main branch on 20th Feb and deploy it on my customers. It should work. I can take it on 21st Feb and it should work. 23rd Feb, it should work. Every time it should work. No issues. Huh? Main branch is considered very pristine, very clean. Don't mess with that. Okay? Which is also known as master branch. But because of certain issues with the word master, it has been renamed to main branch in most of the products. Okay? So main branch is pristine, makes sense. Now, if you remember, when Virendra started coding, right, and he was the only one coding, Virendra was operating on the main branch, right, because he was the only one. He can't step on his own foot now. Okay, let's enjoy, keep writing HTML. Now comes Ovro. Now, as soon as Ovro comes, there is a big problem. Ovro would take a dependency on 20th Feb, if you remember, I told you. So now Ovro and Virendra come to a contractual agreement. And what is that contractual agreement? The agreement is that, see, main branch has to be pristine. First agreement. Second agreement, at this stage, Virendra has already written some HTML code, right? Ovro comes in and says, hey, Virendra, you know what? I will not keep making changes to the main branch here. Main branch is pristine. I'm writing code. What if there is a bug? I have not tested. So I will not bother the main branch. Virendra said, you know what? So far I was writing in main branch. I will also not do it. They both decide against it. Then what they do? They say, okay. Then what we will do is we will take a copy of this code and create another branch. Let's call it the Virendra branch and let's call it the Ovro branch. Now, what does this mean? As of 20th Feb, Virendra has taken subcode. As of 20th Feb, Ovro has taken the code from the main branch. Now, if you see, the main branch is old. Virendra and Ovro has already made changes to the branch. Now, the reason I'm explaining all of this is important for you also as a PM. Virendra started working on HTML code. And as I said, Ovro started working on some JavaScript code. Ovro kept making changes. Now, Virendra, once he feels that he's done a change on which Ovro does not have a dependency, will merge this change back using a pull request. Now, why does he need to make a change and put it back to pull request? He will, when he puts the change back using a pull request, think of it very simple. Forget these terms, PR, commit, forget all of this. Just imagine you are a product manager and you are building this entire product. Virendra has made a change and he's trying to put it back into the main branch. Will you just let Virendra put it, or you will say, Arey, nahi, let Ovro check it now. What if Ovro has a dependency on your code? Therefore, this pull request is that mechanism for Ovro to check the code. That's all. Before Virendra merges the changes, these changes stay in a temporary location. It's not put into the main branch until Ovro says thumbs up, Virendra. Whatever change you are making will not impact me. And once Ovro gives that approval, Virendra can make that change back into the main branch. And what is Ovro checking? Bhaiya, whatever code you're writing, I hope it does not break me and increase my work. If that is the case, you better make your change right now. And then one fine day, Ovro will also merge. Same thing will happen. Ovro will create a PR or pull request, which is nothing but now Virendra checking that, boss, I hope you've not made any mistake, or you're not doing something wrong because I have made a code change. Because at this stage, Virendra would have taken another branch because Virendra wants to continue working, right? So therefore, in a branching concept, it is always said, guys, make small changes and commit back to the main branch and make sure main branch is always shippable. Don't introduce bugs in the main branch. Is this concept clear? And I'll tell you why I explained you branching in so much detail. It is very important. Any doubts on branching before I proceed? Okay, I'm assuming no doubts. The reason why branching becomes such an important concept, right? Come 3rd of April, both Ovro and Virendra, without stepping on each other's toes by means of branching and pull requests, have been able to finish their work. 3rd April, they say, we will release this code to our customer and let that customer be YouTube. Therefore, they will say, this is my release 1. Now, release 1 is also a branch. You have taken a dependency on 3rd branch work, 3rd April work, and released it as a separate branch. And then Ovro, Virendra, they keep working on their own branches. And come 5th of April, they will, not 5th of April, what is I saying? April, May, June, July, August, September. September, they release an R2 or second release or whatever the case may be, right? Like in case they want to do it this way, or if they want to ship it on a daily basis. Now, these are also branches. So at times you will hear certain concepts such as, hey, we are releasing our product and therefore we have created a release branch. This is nothing but that release branch. Or you will hear concepts such as, hey, can you view the code on my branch? Can you view the code or the changes that I made on Ovro's branch? And the user will share their work with you on the branch itself. Okay, that happens a lot. Why? Because Ovro may have changed the UI of the YouTube button to pink. And now he has some screenshots and maybe you can just click on the URL that Ovro has generated and see the pink buttons of YouTube. Therefore, you will have to operate on Ovro's branch and you will say, Arey, Ovro, I can see pink buttons when I click on this button, but when I am on this, my actual production branch, I don't see it. Of course, because Ovro has continued, right? He's made a change which is not merged back. Therefore, this entire concept of repo branch becomes so important, and pull request. Whoever said commit is nothing but a save is absolutely right. If you see here, right, Ovro will not make all of these changes on one day. He will keep making small saves, right? These small saves are nothing but commits. Okay, it's just a save. Commit is nothing but a save. Think of it like that. Does this make sense? Do these concepts make sense to you? Repo, branch, commit, and pull request. Now we'll come to build and CD. Now imagine, if there are questions, please put it on the chat or just speak up, because I'm not seeing the chat. I'll go back to the chat to see if there are any questions. None, I believe. Menika, you have your hand raised. I believe it was from the earlier thing, not right now.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Now imagine Ovro and Virendra's predicament. Huh? I just said, Bhaiya, code jab merge karoge na, it has to be pristine. At this stage, the code has to be pristine, always shippable, etc., etc. And these guys are making, I also told Bhaiya, make short changes, don't make long changes. So Ovro and Virendra are like, yes, I will make a change which can go on a daily basis. So daily I will check in. And I said, make the main branch pristine. So what are you expecting? They will code, merge, test the entire website. Code, merge, test the entire website. They will leave my company if that happens. They will not be testing the website on a daily basis, right? Because I just said, you make small commits, make the main branch pristine. Those are the principles. But see the overhead on that. The overhead is they have to test it every day. Otherwise, the main branch is not pristine. It is buggy. So therefore, starts the first concept of CI. What CI is have you heard that? अरे मेरे कंप्यूटर पे तो चल रहा था, तुम्हारे कंप्यूटर पे नहीं चल रहा था. Code is working on my computer but not yours. So CI is basically saying, in order for you to install this website, you need at least 3-4 things. Okay, what are those 3-4 things that you need? You need, I don't know. You need to install IIS. You need to install some packages from the internet. You need to install I don't know, some DLLs, etc., etc. You need to install all of this. Once all of this is installed, then you install the code that Virendra and Ovro have written. Once that code is installed, I will do some basic testing automatically. Now you see I have put these steps now. Install IIS, install package, install DLL, install etc. Add the code, do some basic tests. I am not expecting Virendra and Avro to do this entire step on an everyday basis. Therefore, the term continuous integration. I am integrating all of these things on a daily basis so that my main branch is pristine. Who is stopping me from using this even for production deployment? No one. Who is stopping me from doing this for maybe QA or whatever? No one. I can do it. Does that make sense? So this is nothing but CI, which is also called as build. I am building my application. Therefore, the term build. Okay, build ho gaya. Now what? Once you have built, you have to deploy it also, right? Like build is like creating a setup.exe for an application. But setup.exe is not the end. Na? You have to click on setup.exe, install it somewhere. Then only you know your app is working. Therefore comes the concept of CD, which is nothing but whatever is built, whatever package you have that you have built, you deploy it somewhere. You deploy it on a server, you deploy it on a client. Like if you remember our service architecture diagram conversation from last time, we said you have to have one storage and one DB and one front end and one API, etc., etc., etc. So you now deploy it in that setup. That you have one SQL server, you have one data warehouse, you have one data lake, you deploy it on these many roles. And then you see whether your website is still working or not. Okay, so that is CD. You can do CD on your developer machine. Test it on your developer machine. That's what Avro and Virendra will do every day. Or you can do the same thing on a production type server. It's continuous. It's deployment which is happening on an ongoing basis. Why am I even explaining you all of those things? So let me come to the point. These concepts are important for you to understand why these are all concept of DevOps. Why is DevOps important for PMs? I have seen innumerable number of PMs saying, guys, when is this feature landing? When is this feature getting completed? Where is it? Is it in QA? Is it in dev? Is it in production? Where is it deployed? Etc. etc. I stop asking these questions. Just follow the normal DevOps cycle and you will know exactly where your product is at various stages. Let me show it to you in action. Huh? So let's go back here. Any questions here before I proceed on these basic concepts? No? None? Okay. So if you have understood this, right, now look at this in action. I have this feature called check-in from your home or whatever. In your development lifecycle, you can link it to the actual, now see the branch. There is a branch. Great. I'm happy. There's a branch called public web. I'm happy. There's a master branch. I'm happy. And I'm just linking it to the master branch. So that's good. So basically what it means is I have all this work getting linked to the master branch. Now let's see. I'm now going to create a pull request. So let's leave this. And this is what a developer is doing, huh? Not you. This is a developer's workflow. Now let's go back to the repo. Actually, before I create this, right? Let's see this. So this is your master branch. If you see here, right? This is my master branch. And there are some test branches, dev branches, etc. Et these are all the branches that I told you. And in these branches, if you see, all these commits should show up. So there is a file called Azure deploy.json. If I go to the history, I hope it has commits. Yeah, so there is just one commit done by Edward Thomas saying that this is the commit that he made. Now, if I go to pull requests, you can see that Sandeep was trying to add some packages. I don't know what this guy was doing. So let's see some completed pull requests. Now, what is completed pull request? As soon as I say this term, right, the thought that should come to your mind is some code that was written and checked in into the main branch by the developers after testing. Like that statement should come to your mind as soon as I say pull request, right? So now let's go and create a new pull request. Actually, let's do that first. Let's go create a new branch. I don't think so I've done any of that. So master branch hai. Now let's see first. Test branch pe jaate hain. So they are exactly identical. So they are exactly identical. So let's make a small change. So I'll go to the test branch and I will open up that readme.md and I will say edit and I'll say making a small change in the test branch and I will merge it to the main branch. Commit. Okay, I've made this commit and I can link it back to my work item. So if you see, I'll link it back to reservations. Now this is the DevOps flow that I was talking about, which is very, very important for us. And you see, it's a commit. It's just a save. Exactly, right? Because Ovro and Virendra were just saving on their test branch. They have not said that this change is perfect for my main branch. Now let's assume this test is perfect for the main branch as well. So what will I do? I will create a pull request. Now pull request is basically pulling a code from one branch to another branch. In my case, I'm pulling the code from test branch into the master branch. Make sense? And I will say just edited the readme file with some junk text. Okay. And if you see, it's linked to my work item also. And if I go further down, I will go create this. Let's go create it. Oh, one merge conflict. What? This was hilarious. I thought I have not made any changes. I have one merge conflict. Oh, I edited in both. See, this is what happens. You know what just happened? Unknowingly, I made a change in my master branch without realizing. And you can see there are some changes I made, right? Maybe you see there are some changes I made into the master branch. Therefore, the issue. So let's do one more thing. I'll do this demo once again. Therefore, this happened. So let's go back to my master branch and I'll create a new branch here. So let's create a new branch and I'll call this branch the weekend PM demo. Okay. And as part of this, I'm linking it to web experiences, create and stay. I know we are over 8 minutes late, but please stay until this end because this will help you with the entire DevOps integration. Very important for PMs. Okay, I've done this. I'll go back to my readme.md. I'll make the same change. And this time I'll make a small change. Go all the way down. A junk change. By the way, the changes I'm making, this is all Markdown. Anybody not aware of Markdown, please yell yes right now. Otherwise, I may skip Markdown in today's discussion. Since it was web experiences, I'm again linking this commit also to web experiences. So commit has happened. Now I'll go back to my pull request. Now I'll not get a merge conflict. So I will say create a new pull request. Now I'm merging from weekend PM demo to master. And you know there are no pull requests because I just picked things from master. It's not a stale change. So I will go create. And if you see, it says, hey, add reviewers. Don't just make changes without adding reviewers, because what if there is somebody like Ovro and Virendra, they are not stepping on each other's foot, right? So this becomes important. So let me just complete it. I'm alone now. So complete the merge. So it's saying queuing pull request. This is completed. Now what do you expect? If you see at one stage, I should have shown this to you. Maybe I didn't. If I go back and I say to my files, I go to weekend, which branch is this? Master. I don't want to be in master. I want to be in weekend PM demo. Wait, where is weekend PM demo? Oh, I think so. As part of the merge request, now I accidentally deleted the branch as well. But if you see, I made a change in weekend PM demo. I come to readme.md and you should see the same change here. If I go further down, well, I'll do a preview. And if I go down, jump change. Only by means of a PR it came. Had I not done the PR, it would have never come. Now, why is it all of this important to you? Now, what is my next thing? Just before I get into why is it important, I have done all of this. I'll go to pipelines. And if you see right here, where is my pull request? I've done a junk change. Where's my junk change? It's completed. So let's go here. Great, all of this is done and you can see my updates are in place and so on and so forth. Right? What am I going to do next? I am going to build my app. So I'll go to pipelines. Fancy word for just creating a build. I'll click here and I will say run this pipeline. Imagine this to be a pipeline which will go build my app. Okay. Now while this is happening, I should have linked it to a work item. I didn't. What becomes important for you as a PM is, if I remember, I was talking about web experiences, right? Where is my work item web experience? What is it? Do you remember what was the work item I linked to? It was smartphone experiences, huh? I thought it was web experiences. Does anybody remember? I linked my pull request to a work item. I forgot. Okay, no problems. Nobody remembers, huh? Let's go back to the PR. Completed. Updated. Web. It was web experiences. One try, I didn't find it. So we go to web experiences, right? Now, this is what becomes important for you as a PM. If I come here, right, you will see as a developer, the developer updated the README as a commit. Then the developer merged this pull request. Then the developer created and completed the pull request at this hour. Once the build is completed, and had I linked the build right here, you would have seen the build is completed. Then the CD is completed. So as a PM, you should be able to understand this workflow happening right here within your feature. And stop asking the developer, where are we? Because all of this information is available to you. And the reason I'm saying stop asking your developer is because collaboration comes at a cost. 10 times you will go, 11 times you will not go. And therefore now you don't have visibility around your own product as to at what stage of product development is your product. Is it in dev, test, QA? When will it reach production, etc., etc. So this is what I wanted to show you. This is the most important aspect, that in your development exercise as well, see whether you can inculcate this habit of integrating your commits, your PRs, your builds over to your work items. That will be super, super efficient, super, super helpful for you as well. I'll take a pause here. Any questions? Any questions here? I don't know if people have left. Am I the only one on the call? No.
No, Sandeep, no questions.
Did this make sense? Did this?
Yeah, this is clear.
Sense?
Yeah, this is clear.
Okay. The rest I should be able to complete in 5 minutes. I'm so sorry for being way over time. I knew it was a packed agenda. Are you able to stretch for another 5 minutes?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. I'll start with the last item because so many people have asked me this. Actually, even before that night, because I believe people may leave. This is something that we do every week and I will do it today as well. So there are some links that I'm sharing with all of you here before you drop off. And those are links for you to get all of this information, which we capture almost on a weekly basis. So I'll tell you what these links are before you leave. This WhatsApp chat that you see right here is where all of us are already there. Okay. For those who are not, please join. Because we discuss all these questions, issues, etc. there. And that's a live community. I need not answer, others can answer. For example, you'll see a lot of homework done on system architecture design on this WhatsApp chat. Medium is where you will see all my blogs, which are always linked to a YouTube video. So you can see whether you want to subscribe to either. LinkedIn is where you may have met me, and Twitter. That's it. Okay. So I have simplified these links for you to remember as well. Okay. Now let's get back to action. Question, do I need to know coding? The answer to that is no. But there is no absolute answer. If you are working on products which are built for developers from a coding experience, then you need to know coding. For example, I will give you some instances, right? Let's say you are a program manager or product manager on Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, or you are trying to define the compiler library of a particular language. You need to know coding. Otherwise, you will not be a successful PM. Otherwise, for most of the products, you need not know coding at all. But one thing that can help you is understanding system design. Point number 1 that we discussed, and the link to which I have already shared in the chat, which we didn't cover today, we covered last Sunday. System design you should know. A lot of PMs assume that system design also I will leave it to my engineering managers. No, it's important for you to know system design, because otherwise what will happen, and I'll tell you where that system design becomes important. Number 1, it is important for your interviews. So park it. So if it is important for your interviews, it must be important for your job. Why is it important for your job? Let's assume I'm an engineering manager. Based on my understanding of the spec, I assume that I will put my, if you remember my search, the use case that we just discussed. Oh, I will put that drop down or search in, let's say, an Azure data warehouse. Okay, or maybe a data lake, where the back and forth between the data lake and my the data coming back is a meager let's say 100 milliseconds. If you don't know system architecture, you will say, oh great, thank you for explaining me that where you are storing. If you know system architecture, you will say, boss, 100 milliseconds unacceptable, because look at the typing speed of the user. The typing speed of the user is so fast that by the time we are sharing the results, user would have pressed enter. See this ring. Look at the results. Look at the results, how fast they come. Can I assume a bad or a slower response time? No. In that case, you need to know whether the data is getting stored in cache, whether it's in Redis, whether it's in SQL. If you don't understand those concepts, you will just assume what is being told is correct, and therefore you may not make the right call. And I'm not saying that your engineering manager does not know. Maybe the requirements are not clear. System architecture is important for you to ace as a PM. Okay, and a lot of times your engineering managers and engineers counterparts will give you design documents to review, and the fact that you've reviewed and not said anything, and the architecture is maybe not matching your requirements, that's it. Customers will pay the price. So system architecture is important. Anyways, so आगे बढ़ते हैं. But coding is not, huh? So that's it. This was a simple yes, no answer. Therefore, I closed it early. Now let's talk about technical debt. I'm changing the order a little bit because these are simple discussions. What is technical debt? Simply put, technical debt is where business, your velocity, and your technology meet. So what do I even mean by that? Okay. So listen to this particular conversation with my actual engineering manager. I wanted to launch an experiment. Okay. And I had no idea whether that experiment will go through or not. There were two routes that we could have taken, right? And that experiment required some very hacky ways of working, right? So we did a very, very hacky way of working, and we launched the experiment. 180,000 users started using that feature. And you know what that feature was? Let me show you. I demonstrated it to you. Maybe you would not have realized. That feature was click on this and show you the recent work items and recent boards that you have accessed. This feature is something that I built. When I built it, I was not sure whether people will ever click here, because people's habit on search is that I will just search, right? I'll just search web experiences and go. Now, if I search web experience, I don't know why it's not showing me. There is some issue. But my hypothesis was people will just search and proceed. Nobody will click on recent work items. So our design was very, very, very hacky. We launched it on day 1, hoping that nobody will click on it. Day 7, nearly 200,000 users are clicking on it. And then we were like, ooh, it was like a mind-blowing moment for us that this is amazing. 200,000 people are using this. Now let's go build it in a better manner. It was literally like we had literally wireframe the technology to make it work. Literally, you know what we did? We said, let's look at the user's last 5 requests, that whatever he has clicked on, store it in a temp DB, in a cache, and let's just show it. We actually stored this information not in cache, we stored it in cookies, in browser cookies, so that when you click on Edge, you will see this, but if you click on, if you open the same thing on Chrome, you won't. That hacky, that what were the last 5 you access, we stored it on cookies and we showed. Is this the best experience? Absolutely not. Did we incur technical debt, which means does my engineering team have to redo everything to make it production ready? Absolutely yes. It was a throwaway work for 5 days. But the good thing is we were able to take a call on not incurring technical debt. We deliberately took technical debt to validate whether my feature is even ready or not. A lot of people get into this habit of perfection, that, oh, my feature, if it goes from a technology standpoint, it has to be perfect, it has to be perfectly rolled out, etc., etc. No, please have that conversation with your engineers to talk about what are experiments, what are features that may not find the light of the day. Therefore, come up with hacky technical architectures. That's why I said technical system design is so important for you to understand technical debt. Imagine your engineering manager saying, oh, cookies में डाल देते हैं and या बाद में SQL में डाल देंगे, उसके बाद data lake में डाल देंगे, and you're like, not understanding the debt that he's planning to incur. What if the debt is worth 1 month of technical debt, which will eventually reduce your feature velocity and eventually impact your business? You will be answerable as a PM. कर क्या रहे हो? Nothing is being shipped from this feature crew for the last 1 month or maybe 3 months. Why? Because engineering is trying to reduce the technical debt that it took when you proposed a particular solution and they asked you, cookies mein karna hai, and you said yes. Not realizing the impact of that debt, that sorry, for 3 months we will just now productionize our feature. So understanding technical debt from a feature velocity perspective, its impact on business and its impact on technology is super critical for you as a PM. Therefore, you need to understand system design as well. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Any thoughts? Any questions? Okay, I have a 10-second rule. If 10 seconds nobody says, I'll just proceed. Okay, I'm done with technical debt. The reason I wanted to emphasize technical debt is you need to understand system design. Don't assume that you've read a design document and then there are terms that you didn't understand and it's okay. It's not okay. You need to understand your engineering crew's design architecture documents to be able to ask the right questions. You're not designing, but you are asking the right questions, which will eventually impact your feature velocity and your business because you are responsible for that. Okay. Okay. Markdown. This is a simple concept. Why Markdown is important. So first, let's understand why. Okay. Do you know what is Markdown? Anybody who does not know Markdown, hearing the term for the first time?
Sandeep, unfortunately, I don't know the term.
It's not unfortunate. It's very fortunate that you don't know the term. As I said, I just need one person who does not know so that I can.
I also don't know, Sandeep.
I'm so happy. Okay, so let's understand. देखो अगर आप languages देखें ना, there are so many languages that are created. Okay, so and some you know, and I'll just assume you know. For example, there is HTML, right? You all know HTML, I'm assuming, like at least heard of it. Websites created as HTML.
Yeah.
Great. So HTML allows you to write, isn't it? You can write, and then there is, you can also write in Word documents. Yes or no? Yes, you can write in Word documents.
Yeah.
Word documents, you can support syntax, etc. You can all beautify, etc. And then somebody came up with a language called Markdown. It's markup language. You see, markup language hai. This is Markdown language. It's a pun on HTML actually. So why did somebody create Markdown? What was not working in HTML? Let's discuss that. Huh? So HTML, if I open my HTML code, which I just did when I came here on this particular portal. Hey, thank you so much. I just saw somebody subscribe. So if you see here, right, is this readable? If I say, hey, Menika, why don't you read this to me? Can you read it? Of course you can't. This is absolutely not readable. I can't make head and toe what you've written here, right? So developer said, guys, we need a simple language where I can still do all of this beautification with respect to crawl, walk, run looking so big, description looking bigger than interested, etc., etc. But I want it simple. Why do they need it simple? Because it's not that they can't type. They can type. They understand HTML. Rather, developers know HTML way better than any of us do. The reason is they wanted a language that can be used in active development. And if you see, where are they using language in active development? They are using language in, I just showed to you. Let's go back. Kahan gaya? When a developer came to repos and clicked on commit and created a commit and created, and if you see, I'll just go right here in case you didn't notice. I'll go to files once again. I'll go to master. Where is my, I actually deleted that branch. I didn't know that this feature is on. So demo, a new branch, and to demo I will link reservations and I will click create. Now see what is happening. Pay attention, huh? So I will create this commit, and where is my commit? Readme.md, edit, junk change, more junk change, and I commit right here. You see, I'm adding some text as I am developing. So I can say hashtag this, oops, sorry, description. And then I say this looks like a junky change. And then I say this thing 1 and this thing 2. 1 point, 2 point, and so on and so forth. Now you must be wondering, what am I doing? Now let's commit and I will show you what I'm doing. You see, I committed and I click on this commit. This is the reason why Markdown became super popular with developers. Okay, look at this. More junk change, committed just now, description. Look at this. If I see, right, you can see my entire description of the commit. Hash description, this looks like a junky change, star 1 point, star 2 point. In the actual text, is it readable? More readable than HTML? Yes or no? In HTML, I would have done, and I'll show you the HTML equivalent. Right now, I know that you are not with me yet, and I will show you why this becomes so important. Now, after this, what did I do? I created a pull request. Okay, let's do a pull request, and you will see the beauty right there. And I will create a pull request. And I'll tell you why you also need. See, same description has come here. Now look at this. Look at the preview of this description. Description looks a little bigger. It's like a header. These have transformed to bullet points, and you can go and make merry and enjoy. So I can say at Sandeep Chadda to this. See the preview at the bottom. And then I can say I want a header 2. See, hash is header 2, and I say header 2, and I say I want to mention this pull request. Look at this, the way it is showing up. I am putting all of this in a very simple format, which I can read in my commits as this and in my pull request in a nice preview form. Because this is the only language that allows you to do this, which means it allows you to read the text even without the formatting and read the text with the formatting. It became super popular with developers. And you open any product, you open GitHub, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps, any product, right? You will see that they support Markdown in making comments to pull requests, etc., etc. And I click on create. Okay, so all of this came. See, my description looks so beautiful, right? Now, why is it important for you? I'll tell you why it is important for you. This file, if you see, I have been demonstrating right from the word go. I was making a change in a file called readme.md. What is MD? MD is Markdown, mark and down. You as a product manager will be expected to do a lot of documentation at times. When you're expected to do documentation, see, I just pasted the same code of Markdown, hashtag description, etc., etc. And if I preview, it will come exactly the way you wanted in the text that I showed earlier. Now, because Markdown has become so popular with developers, Markdown is part of all these development tools, and at times you will be releasing products as a GitHub repository. Okay, so if I go to my GitHub repository, this is definitely not my GitHub repository. At times your product could be a website, at times your product could be an application, at times your product could be the SDKs needed to use your product. In which case you're releasing your SDKs maybe in a repository, or it could be a command line interface, right? In that case, you release these products on actual repositories on GitHub or something like that. Therefore, you will see all these websites, right? GitHub, etc. They use Markdown. And when you have to do documentation, you will require Markdown as a language. That's point number one. Point number two, if you have a culture in your organization where developers share pull requests with you and commits with you so that you can understand and comment, etc. I just showed you. I had to write all my comments and pull requests in Markdown format. Therefore, Markdown is another such language from a technology standpoint that you should know in case you have a culture which is heavily dependent on these repos, especially on Git. If you're not using Git, make merry, no problems. So I'll take a pause here. And I want to ask, any questions from anyone on all the top concepts that we discussed today? I could have done way better on time. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Sandeep, this is not with respect to Markdown. This is the first topic that you covered about using developer tools, using that inspect element, right? So if it is a web app, it's okay. I think probably we could do that. What if your product is an Android app? How do we, is there a similar approach available there also?
No, I don't think so. I think so you can install a simulator. From the simulator, you can get it on the Chrome and then you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. But Android natively does not support developer tools like that.
Okay. Okay.
Good question, by the way. And I think so, Menika, you only asked this question that this is great for incremental tools, but not for something that you're starting. That is also so true. That is very true. See, the beauty about this, right? I'll tell you very frankly, something that I have used again and again, and this is maybe a career advice to budding product managers as well. If you have an idea and you're good at HTML and you can get this thing done in half an hour, get it done in half an hour and show it. Because when you're explaining concepts to people and hypothesizing, etc., it's great. It's 50% of the battle. Actually letting people see your product and touch and feel it and walking through a journey is the other 50%. I've gotten so many sponsorships on the product ideas that I had just because I went in, not with this, I actually used this and I created a video on top. And my videos would be typically 1-minute videos saying, today I want to talk about a new feature called sponsorship on YouTube. And there you go. The user lands on this page, clicks on sponsor, sees the basic sponsorship, clicks on get it now and blah, blah, blah. And this happens and that happens. And when you do it, it just hits 10 times harder.
Okay.
Is there another question? Sushmita, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So my question is not related to only this one. So it's regarding the product management. So I mean, this is like too much technical. As you said, yeah, product managers needn't have any kind of, I mean, need not know much of coding. Do we actually need to know, I mean, any other technical tools, as you said, like SQL or, little bit of this markdown, or how is it like usually now it's like, in my case I can say that I am basically from an MBA background, and so I wouldn't be into completely technical. So what exactly are the technical requirements?
as I said, going back right here, you need to understand system architecture. And it
Only
does not
system
matter whether,
architecture or any other concepts.
no, system
Yeah,
architecture.
that's what.
System architecture is critical. And I'm saying this is what will propel you from a great PM to an awesome PM. Okay. You can still be a great PM if you understand the business side, the customer side, and that's perfectly all right. But I think so there is a misnomer in the industry saying that, oh, I can be technology agnostic and still become a great PM. That may not be true.
So on this system architecture, Sandeep, like I haven't attended the last one, but I'll go back and see the Medium link and all that. Do you recommend any reading also, any particular book or like, also that is one question. Another question is things are also like, so in my interaction in my company, right, like there are a lot of things which are very experimental going on. Suddenly somebody will say, let's do Redis, we should want to explore. So how do I generally keep up with this new jargons and terms that comes during my everyday interaction? Do you have any suggestions there? So two questions.
Yes.
One is on system architecture and other is like how do I be little ahead? Like, only when I come, then it comes to my to-do list and then I learn about it, rather than I am also up to date in
So
some sense.
Menika,
Like,
two things. See,
mm,
one, you don't like, it's impossible for you to say, oh, today I will learn system architecture end to end. Okay? It doesn't work that way. So first of all, system architecture for all those, right? It's required in your interviews. A lot of organizations check for your system architecture knowledge. And I really, really encourage you to watch last week's video. We designed a search without any technical jargon, zero technical jargon. We just said
mm,
fast storage, slow storage, some service that will do this, some service that will do that. That's it. We use this kind of language. And I'm so happy for all the people who have responded to me. They have not used any jargon and went about designing system architecture designs. And I have been responding that this system architecture design, if you say so, you are through with your interview. And that is what you need to understand. And here now, don't think that, oh, I need to now understand Redis cache. It's not
mm,
that. You need to understand how your system will operate together. Trust me, the respect and love that you get from your engineering counterparts, if you
mm,
understand system architecture, will take you 10x high. Second
mm,
thing, what happens when you start getting introduced to new terms? This is what I do. I don't know whether you're able to see it. This is a list of all new terms that I still hear as I
mm.
change products, I change teams, I change technologies. I've been working on Azure. Let's say I move to Dynamics 365. Their concepts are different. This is a
Okay.
generic yarn, nothing to do with PM. You will
Mm.
always hear new tech terms, or you will just hear new terms no matter where you are. You hear it, take a note, learn
And
about it.
keep, huh,
That's it. This is the best advice I can give you. I have been doing it for
okay.
last 7 years and I do it till today.
Hmm,
Every
hmm.
single day there'll be one or the other term and they will gradually decrease. They will start
Okay.
with a lot. And one more very important thing. You have heard Redis and you start
Hmm,
reading about Redis. Don't get into, oh, what are the APIs that Redis is supporting and etc. etc. Don't get into that.
hmm,
Understand Redis from a customer scenario standpoint. That is where
hmm.
PMs come.
Okay.
You
Hmm,
should understand नेटफ्लिक्स ने रीडेस कैश पे क्या डाला. Why
hmm.
did they put something on Redis? Oh, they put it because it can be rendered faster. That's why they had a cache. Okay, okay. So
Okay.
performance must be the reason. Ah,
Hmm,
acha. So if now I understood. If you have something that requires to be rendered on the customer's portal fast enough, you will use Redis cache, which means in my mind, Redis equal to fast storage. Done. And I operate
okay.
in that language. Fast storage, slow storage, very slow storage, storage that I don't care about. And
Hmm,
similarly, right? Because all of this is this, like everything is built around a customer scenario. Think about the customer scenario when you look at technology. SQL, why do we need SQL? Okay, if you start reading jargons, you will see, oh, it's a relational DB, primary key, foreign key, etc., etc. No, 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 no. Why do you need? Why was relational DB even created? Think from that perspective. Why do I store in relational DB? Why should I not store it on a folder where you can just dump files? Why not? Think from a scenario perspective and then do the mind mapping. Don't get into the, oh, I need to read everything about SQL tomorrow. Now, just understand for a particular customer scenario, why do you use a particular technology? All technologies on the planet are built to cater to a particular customer scenario.
Understood.
Any other questions?
No.
I have this page open, by the way, until somebody's thinking about a question. Here is the homework. Imagine you are a LinkedIn product manager. You want to add the ability to mentor someone. Okay, which means if you see LinkedIn, there are three personas. One is the guy who there is a mentor, and then there is a mentee. I want a capability on LinkedIn so that this guy is able to mentor the mentee. That's it. Draw a 3-slider UX using developer tools in not more than 10 minutes. And by the way, if you see, I used developer tools and PowerPoint at tandem. For example, I used this. I created this in developer tools. I created this separately in developer tools and then just copy pasted. Please do this and share it with me on that WhatsApp channel that I shared. Please share your responses there. It's a very active community and I love what is happening there. So Soumya just joined. Soumya, were you part of the whole conversation or you just joined? And that question was
Yeah.
in question. You there? Okay.
No, sir, I was part of the conversation.
Got it. Any other questions, anyone? Anything that you feel that I should be covering more in detail in future? Please shout out. If you have any questions, I'm happy to stay back. Otherwise, consider this meeting done. And I'm going to stop the recording.